Hi guys, it's adv.photos. Happy New Year. I hope you've had a good time, not too hungover. I myself didn't actually do anything, wasn't feeling very well. Okay, so first video of 2020, well first vlog of 2020. So I've actually made a list of things to talk about in this video. But before I say anything else, if you want to keep apprised of my content, of which there will be a lot more this year, far more than last year, hopefully anyway, then don't forget to click that subscribe button and then you'll get every update every time I upload a video. And I'll talk more about those what videos I should be uploading as I go through my little list I've got here. See, I've got a little list here, don't even read that. Okay, right then, so first thing here, I think I'll just dive straight into it. Some of you might be aware, I started last year, I was a Fujifilm user. I had a Fujifilm X-T3, which is a wonderful camera. Very sharp. One of the sharpest cameras I've ever used. Great eye autofocus, much like the Sony's, though I don't think it's quite as good. But when you're just using it in the studio especially, it's just fantastic. You put that with the 80mm macro lens, which is equivalent to 120mm full frame, and you've got one hell of a good combination for portraits especially. Okay, so at the end of the year I moved over to the Canon's EOS R with their RF system. Now some people might think, well, why did you do that? It's nowhere near as good as the Fujifilm, and to a certain extent you're correct. It has more megapixels obviously, but it is fully weather sealed, not just slightly weather sealed, though I have to say I took an X-T2 under a waterfall in Iceland a couple of years ago and I had no problems. That was perfectly fine, and I used the bog standard kit lens, which didn't leak either, so that's pretty good. But for me it was the lack of third-party lenses that was the overriding factor, and the battery life was sucked. So I switched back to full frame and I chose the Canon EOS R because their glass is fantastic. You can get lots of third-party EF glass that will work on the camera via the EF adapters, so that's why I did that. I'm not going to go into any more detail because I've already said all this before in a previous video. So what I want to talk about first is, well, first in this video anyway, is my experience of using the EOS R. Now I have a full-time day job, which means I can only really go out weekends, and sometimes things just don't go to plan. So I tried to go down to a place outside Eastbourne. Only problem was, when I got to the car park I found it was a coin-only machine, which didn't help, and it was so windy that I was literally getting blown off my feet, so it would have been dangerous because it was right on the coast, just down from Beachy Head. There's no way it would have been safe for me to try and go up onto the cliffs and take some shots from up on the cliffs at sunrise. So I had to bin that, and the second location, which was actually on the way back, I couldn't get into that either because the road was closed. So that kind of was a bit of a downer. So the next day I went to another place. Now I've got it on a piece of paper if I can remember. Yes, Burton Mill Pond, which is off Burton Park Road, outside Petworth in West Sussex. Oh, ran out of shot there. Oops. Yes, that has a working mill which produces flour for local shops, and they sell it online as well, I believe. Now I'd never been there before, and that was quite an experience just getting there, because a lot of the roads were waterlogged, to say the least. Lots of puddles. If I'd gone the week after, I never would have got there because it would have been flooded, and there were huge potholes as well, so it was a bit of an experience trying to get there. Didn't help my sat nav took me to country roads way when I could have used the main road right up until the last bit. But anyway, I went there and I used the Canon's 16-35 f4 LIS lens with an adapter, and I have to say it did work quite well. I got some very nice shots. If you go over to my 500 pics site, you'll be able to see some of these shots on my 500 pics I suppose gallery, workflow, whatever you want to call it. I get a bit confused with these photo sharing sites, I have to say. Anyway, I got some nice shots there at sunset. I've got a few rubbish ones as well, and of course I was experimenting with just the image stabilization and how well it worked with the camera. So I did get a lot of fuzzy shots, I have to admit, because it was getting quite dark, and shooting at f8, f11, the shutter speed was quite low, and I was shooting at ISO 100 the whole time. I didn't push the ISO up. I wanted to see with the best ISO how it would perform, and I was quite pleased with that particular performance. I got a handful of nice shots that I was pleased with, especially long exposure. I used this monopod here. As you can see, this is a Amazon carbon monopod. Dead cheap. I couldn't believe how cheap this was. And even this little thing here as well, tripod head. Again, not bad price and quite solid. And I'll put links to both these items in the description so you can have a look for yourself. But yes, this is carbon fibre, very, very light. The heaviest bit is actually this, I have to say. If I didn't have this on, and the only reason I've got this on is so that I can switch from landscape to portrait with the L bracket that I got for the EOS R. Another it's a generic one, but it works really well on it. It sits out far enough so I can actually flip the screen round all the way, which is great. So yes, I use this and the 16-35 f4 lens. Right, so let me get this back in there. I'll do that later. Right. Okay, so that was the first proper shoot I tried with it. This was the day after, of course, the Seaford disaster, Seaford Eastbourne disaster. So moving on, a week later I went to a place called Sisbury Ring, which is in West Sussex, and it's just above Sompting. Yeah, you can see the massive wind farm out to sea from up there. It sits off the Sussex coast, which runs for miles in each direction. They actually dug a huge scar across the South Downs to link it up to the national grid. The line goes into the sea by Brooklands Park in Lancing, for those of you that don't know. Anyway, so I went to Sisbury Hill and I had to walk there. I didn't realise there was a car park right there. So there's first tip for 2020. Do proper research on where you're going, because if you do proper research you'll realise you could probably park closer than you think. In my case, I parked on the main road going over the downs on the other side of it, which meant I had a 2-mile walk on farm tracks, public and restricted bridleways. Still don't know the difference between restricted and public. Perhaps someone can tell me in the comments below. Anyway, so I went over to Sisbury Ring. This is as dawn was coming up, so the sun was up by the time I got there, which is a little unfortunate. I wanted to get there at sunrise, but I was too late, and it was so irritating. But anyway, if you'll excuse me a moment, my computer seems to have turned itself on by itself, which is never a good thing. Right, where was I? Yes, Sisbury Ring. So eventually I got there. I got some nice shots on the way there, actually. Some bare trees, no leaves on them, just bare, sort of like a scar across there. Field in the foreground with sheep, little dots of sheep, and there's all these bare trees, partially in the partially in the sunshine. So some of it was in the sunshine and some of it wasn't, and then you have this blue sky at the top. It's fantastic. My favourite shot, personally, of the whole day. I just wish people who were looking at it would agree with me, but they don't. But then, what do I care? The walk was quite a walk because it was down and up and it was quite steep, and of course it had been wet the week before, so it was all squishy and squelchy, and thank God I had some hiking boots. Anyway, I got there, and for this one I used the native 24-105 f4 RF lens, and I have to say I did get, again I got some very nice shots. I used a circular polarizing filter on it this time. I managed to order one for that which fits that particular lens and the 16-35, so they both have the same filter thread, so I can use the same one on both. Yes, I got some very nice shots, but I didn't use my where is it? Yes. I didn't use this time, though I did take it with me. I chose not to use it on monopod, and in hindsight that was a stupid idea, because I was shooting at f11 virtually the whole time to get as much detail as I could, and I had a lot of shots I thought, you know, on the back of the camera, I thought, oh yeah, that's all right. When I got home, stuck in the computer, it was, no, they were blurry, shaky, so I'm not impressed. I have to admit, I'm not impressed with the image stabilization on the lens. Even when I was shooting at f8, much closer range, and it didn't feel like I was moving the camera at all, there was still a lot of shake, so that was frustrating. But I'll just learn from it next time, to up the ISO so I can get a faster shutter speed at that f-stop, because again I was only shooting at f100. That was probably a mistake. I should have pushed it up no higher than that, 800. I don't think I wouldn't have needed to push it any higher than that, to be quite honest. It was quite a sunny day. It was just a lot of shade, a lot of contrast. That's the other thing, there was a lot of contrast, especially in the wooded area. But again, I got some very nice shots. This tree with a bench in front of it. So I'm standing with the sun behind me, and it's half lit, half not lit, because the sun was moving across to my left along the south. But no, there was, again, some very nice shots. It was a very nice day. Quite a lot of dog walkers, I have to say. And you get some weird, I hear some weird conversations when people jog past you and they're not really paying attention to who you are. But anyway, so that's two of my lenses tested now. I've just got the 70-200 f4 EF lens to test, and I'm planning on doing that this weekend. I'm going back to Seaford, but I'm not going to where I went before. I'm not making that mistake again. I'm going down to the Seven Sisters Country Park. The idea is to try and shoot somewhere near sunrise, because it's supposed to be relatively nice there, sunrise, right on the beach, where the River Cookmere comes out. This is contingent on there not being that much flooding, so I can actually go. Because if I get there and find the car park's flooded, because I have had a lot of flooding down there along the River Cookmere, has burst its banks at several places. I'm hoping it hasn't, and I'm going to use the 70-200, and then I will have tested all my lenses. But I'm also going to, after that, drive up to Friston Woods, or Friston Forest I should say, which is literally just up the hill from there, and that's somewhere I've never been to before. I drove past it in my ill-fated trip a few weeks ago, and it looked quite interesting, and I'll probably stick the 24-105 lens on for that. So yes, that is my plan for this weekend, and this is going off on this is part of my plans for 2020, is to try and go out once a week and shoot at a location either I've been to before but not for a long time, like Seven Sisters Country Park. I haven't been there for 10 years almost, 9.5 years. I've driven past it a few times but I haven't actually been there, and the reason I go on about this is because when I was 15, I was at my school. I was part of a team of pupils that produced an interactive video installation that went into the visitor centre at the Seven Sisters Country Park back in 1991. Now, some of you who might be watching this might not have even been born then, so you can imagine the kind of technology available then and how much better it is now. But yes, that was a very enjoyable experience for me. I got to go with the teacher and another pupil to London to get to pick up the prize that we won for it. So that was very enjoyable. So that's the reason why I do keep going on. But as I was saying, trying to go to a location every weekend, Saturday or a Sunday, preferably a Saturday, depending on the weather as well. And if the weather's incredibly windy or incredibly wet, then it's pointless. But if it's just dark and dreary, there's no reason why I can't still go. It just means I have to be a little bit more creative in what kind of photos I take and how I edit them, and that's actually not such a bad thing because it'll be a challenge, and a challenge is what I want. That's one of the reasons why, one of the other reasons why I'm really going to be pushing my YouTube channel this year, to try and push my photography at the same time, as I will be hopefully starting a master's degree in photography this autumn in 2020. And with that in mind, I think getting into the habit of pushing myself past my so-called comfort zone, as they call it, to challenge myself to do things I haven't tried before, or that I might have just gone, it's not worth it, sort of thing. That's one of the things I'm trying to do this year. So that's that. Okay, with that in mind, we come on to the next topic here, which is the possibility of I'm looking into upgrading my video equipment that I have at the moment, because I don't really want to use my EOS R as the stills and video camera at the same time. I want to be able to stand there with it in my hand going, look, this is what I've got, this is my setup, this is what I'm going to be shooting, and have my vlogging camera, video camera sitting on a tripod there filming me doing it, rather than having to keep switching around. Now you might say, well, hang on a minute, you've got a video camera now, you're videoing this. Yeah, I'm videoing this on Panasonic Lumix FZ2000. It's not a bad camera, I'll give it that. It's not a bad camera at all. The only problem is that it's not weather sealed and it has no image stabilization. Two things that I really do want for video. It does shoot 4K, and it does have a very long focal reach of full frame equivalent of 24 to 400 millimeters, I think it is. It might be slightly more than that, but it's not weather sealed. So if I go out on a day where it might, be drizzle, rain, or I might even go to the sea. I haven't gone to the sea for a while. That's one of the other things I want to do, get more seascapes in. Then I run the risk of damaging it. Now, that's not to say I won't keep it and use it for vlogging from home like this, which is not a problem. It's very versatile for that kind of thing, and it's perfect, to be quite honest. It's nice and compact. I may very well take it when I go to Snowdonia later this year. I don't know yet, it depends. So yes, I've been looking into what I could replace or add to my setup that I could take with me in my bag with my full frame camera when I go out into the field, and I've been looking at a Panasonic Lumix G9 over the G80, and the reason it would be over the G80 is because the G9 is just that little bit better. It's a bit more chunky, but it's a bit better, it's got more options, and I just think it's going to be probably less flimsy, I would say. Plus, the weather sealing is probably better as well. It has image stabilization. It is a micro four thirds camera, but hey, this is only a 1-inch sensor, so it's bigger than this one. It's like I said, micro four thirds. Lenses are quite small, but again, image stabilization. It has image stabilization, so you can shoot at slower shutter speeds. It's 20 megapixels, which is what this camera is, I have to say. So it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to swap them. I could use it like this, and then I could pick up a couple of lenses. You might have picked a yawn up. That's the cat on the floor, by the way. Oh. He wants my chair, but he can't have it. It's mine. I heard that. Prima donna. So yes, I'm looking at a G9 at the moment. Whether I'll go with that or not, I don't know. I have to look at the used market, or possibly get it new with a lens. There's a combination there, about 1,500 quid, which isn't that bad. I mean, I spent a fair bit on this, but if I was to sell this, I could probably get it for a little bit less. So yes, that's what I'm looking at, possibly in the future. Okay, so what we got? Oh yes, we've got 2 topics left. Only 2. Right, we have prints and licenses for photos. So going forward from this year, I will submit my images for license on 500 pics. If they get rejected, then if I decide that I still want to offer them for license, then they will be available for license on my website. Of course, you'd have to contact me directly. You can use the contact me form on my website for that purpose, and that's basically because the reasoning for rejections on licensing sites such as 500 pics, which is part of Getty Images now, by the way. Part of that is certain aspects of the image may not, in their opinion, and this is opinion, be sellable or to a large extent. That being said, I consider myself a photographic artist rather than just a plain up photographer, so I might make an image that they think is over edited or has noise or one reason or another, but I might decide that actually I rather think it's a worthy image for license or print or both, and therefore I'll make it available for people to purchase on my website. So that's something I'll be doing this year, along with prints. Obviously the same thing. A lot of my photos that will be available for license will also be available for print as well. I haven't set the shop up there yet for prints, because it will take you to another site where I will have that particular image stored and priced on that website, and you literally just buy it through that website, or at least that's how I'm looking at it at the moment. It may be different. I may just decide to go boom, that's a price, and then I will get it through whatever site I decide to do it for, to do it through, and then literally just ship it direct, telling them to send me the invoice, not you, so you don't know exactly how much or markup it is, because there has to be a markup. I can't do it for cost price, otherwise what's the point in offering prints in the first place? So yeah, there is that. And yes, regarding my website, in case you don't know what it is www.adv.photos, spelled P-H-O-T-O-S. Was it photo? Anyway, the link will be in the description, along with like I said, the link to my 500 pics, the link to my monopod, and the tripod head that I've got for it as well. You're welcome to make any comments you might have about that. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like this video, don't forget to like it as well, because I need, well, I'd like to get to 1,000 subscribers relatively quickly. I mean, I don't know what you would say relatively quickly is, but I definitely want to be over that 1,000 mark by this time next year, and hopefully a lot of the videos that I'm going to be shooting out in the field will help with that. So until next time, which will hopefully be next week, very early next week, I hope to shoot the video along with my photos on Saturday, and then edit it all on Sunday once I've done the photos, because I always edit the photos first. So edit the video on Sunday, and I'll probably schedule it for a Monday evening availability. Okay, right then, well, until next week, fingers crossed, Don't forget to click that like button if you like the video, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you and goodbye.